All right, we're going, doing this thing.
All right.
All right. Hailing from the great cold state of Alaska, we are the Frozen Gamers Podcast. I am your host, Nathan Dugas. Joining me for our 52nd episode is a guy whose destiny is to buy every single entry in the Pokemon series until he dies, Mr. Scotty R.
Yes. The main series, anyway. Not gonna invest in the spin-offs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm just referring to the mainline games, the handheld ones, unless they actually do a console one.
And you're like 99% of the way there.
Yeah. I don't know. I own Dread. I don't know what happened to it. I think it got stolen.
All right, we'll say 95
That's
just to give you a little.
Never
something to
owned
work
Pearl or Diamond. I never will.
Though to be fair, at least with the exception of Pearl and Diamond, you've basically at one time owned every other game.
Yes.
But from now on, you will probably
Except
buy
for
every
Gold.
other one.
I never owned Gold.
Okay, so we'll say
Well,
Well,
Silver,
from this point forward, or from the point you start buying every game forward,
Yeah. I've
Needless
bought
to
almost
say-
every single one.
you have a problem.
yes.
No.
Oh.
No.
At least you say they're not.
I can stop playing whenever I want.
That's not true. That's
I
not
haven't
true at all.
I haven't touched Pokemon in like
2 minutes.
3 weeks. I haven't.
It hasn't been 3 weeks.
I didn't play it all this week. Didn't
Hey.
play it all last week.
Yeah, but the week before that you played, so it hasn't been quite 3 weeks. Well, I guess no. That's
Today is 3 weeks.
I think it's more like 2, but
Now
Anyway,
we're talking
either
2
way.
minutes. All right, 2.5.
Deal.
Deal.
and returning this week is another guy whose destiny is to play through the Borderlands pre-sequel at least 50 times, Mr. John Flam.
I will do it. I will die for this.
The pre-sequel?
The pre-sequel,
Well,
at least 50 times.
yeah. Well, I mean, you have to because
I have to.
each character's storyline slightly alters. the
Totally
whole story.
different. So it's at least 50 playthroughs to get all of the content that I paid for.
Yeah. $1 per playthrough.
There you go. I gotta make my hourly wage low. I mean, let's see. I put probably over 400 into 2, so probably have to shoot maybe for 800. No,
No.
I-
Borderlands 3 will be out way before
I like to
that.
have a life.
All right.
I will do it though. The pre-sequel.
Yeah. Well, for our listeners, you probably noticed I posted a couple times up on Twitter that Dan Brewington from Effectsville will be joining us later today to talk about Destiny, as he was part of the team that did visual effects for the game. So look forward to that. But because of work schedules, he wasn't able to join us just yet. So that will be a bit later. So how are things going for you guys?
Good. I'm working again. Working
Yay!
with kindergartners, so that's pretty cool. Never been in a kindergarten class, whether it be while I was in kindergarten or doing stuff for college. So
You got held back, didn't you?
this is my first time in kindergarten, so that's pretty cool. But their
That's pretty
kindergartens have so much energy. It's kind of nuts.
Well, yeah. They're really tiny, but they're really young, so all that energy just builds up and explodes.
And since they have to sit down most of the day, they
That doesn't happen though. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
We need to start employing kindergartners in
The state jobs.
no.
Oh.
That's silly.
I figured something would be
In
done.
energy businesses. Just put them in a
a
room.
new free boundless energy.
Yeah, just
Slave labor.
We-
Wait, what?
no, we call it daycare. Give them a bunch of balls. Put them on a floor that moves, and so as they run around, it moves the floor, which turns the generator, which creates free energy.
Extra bonus. Everyone gets a
And they get free childcare.
everyone gets a siesta because during nap time the power goes out on the grid everywhere.
Great idea.
Exactly. So everyone has to have a mandatory nap time.
Patent pending.
Well, while my co-hosts talk about child labor, I'm not so much for that.
I'm totally for it. Let's do it.
It's
Like-
free childcare.
Free.
And then you
Childcare.
get free electricity. It's a win-win.
That's double free. No kindergartners were harmed in the making of this idea.
That's true.
Anyway, John, how have you been doing?
Oh, not too bad. I got a quote-unquote upgrade in my job. I went from the little suck truck to the big suck truck.
So you're like the Uber Poopsmith?
Uber Ultimate Plus Poopsmith in training. Working on it. So, that's been pretty good. I mean, driving big trucks is always fun. Didn't get splashed with poop yet. So that's a plus.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, if you accidentally flip the lever to the wrong setting.
You will make a big mess.
I thought so.
Yeah, a big mess. Because the vac pump can be changed, so instead of vacuum, it's pressurized. And if you pressurize, like, a 2-inch hose, it will literally pick it up in the air and spray everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And even a 3-inch will move. So, yeah, you could make those 1,000 gallons that you just sucked up go all over.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be more than a little splashed on at that point.
Oh, can I tell a great story? It didn't happen to me. That's what's great. I had a coworker, and he was instructed just to pump the top layer off of a tank, which is like just the fluids or whatever. So he was like, okay. So he took, they have this called standpipes, and just make the big black tubing, and then you hook a hose up to it. So that goes down into the tank, so you don't have to throw a hose down there. So he was like, oh, I'll just put that down there, and I'll pick it up a little bit, and then I'll just suck the top off. Well, he picked it up, and full vacuum, boring away, 1,000 gallons, filling up that tank. Actually, that would fill 3,000. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So he's just sucking away. Well, holding a 3-inch pipe gets kind of heavy after a while.
Only a
when
little
there's
bit.
Fluid running through it, right?
Yeah.
And so he accidentally leaned against it, and it exploded everywhere. So there was an explosion, and he was in the middle of it. Needless to say, I think he burned his clothes after that. He was really, I'm going to say lucky, because he brought his full rain gear with him. So he quick excused himself and just changed into his rain gear. But yeah, covered head to toe in
dear.
someone else's.
What's it?
Yeah, what's that?
That's awful.
I would like to be smarter than the average Joe and not ever have that happen.
Yeah.
It's a fairly safe job. You just have to be careful. Like when you're breaking down hoses and stuff like that. Don't lean against things apparently.
Watch where you're stepping.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's up to the raise, so that's cool.
Nice.
That's more info than our listeners ever cared about.
I don't know. They weren't the ones that got covered.
World of poops. They were not covered.
They didn't get covered. None of us got covered.
I-
it was someone else.
I think
No
it's
names
splashed
were mentioned.
once, and so I go back to the shop. I'm like, well, guys, I joined the club. I'm now officially part of the pumping association. I got splashed. They're like, was it in your mouth? I was like, no. Like, then you're not part of the club. I was like, I don't want to be in this club. I was like, I'm out.
See ya.
Yeah. Okay. So I quit.
All right, let's
Let's
move
move
on
on.
past.
How was
Oh,
your
what's it
week,
called?
Nathan?
My week hasn't been too bad. It's been nice that Megan's been able to be home, not working. Well, at least not working outside of the home, so she's had a lot more time to do simple things around the house, help keep things clean, which is amazing because it's never that clean. And last week we had moved the cat's litter box out of the second bedroom into our bathroom. But the thing is, because that thing had been in there for almost 2 years, it did not smoke in there. And I ran the carpet cleaner over it several times and went over that area where the litter box was actually planted, and it was. I went over that like a 1,000 times at least.
No, we weren't talking about Woodson.
Well, we're not talking about Woodson.
No.
This was actually
Carpet cleaning.
This was more urine smell than anything else. Just
You say my job is bad?
Anyway, the thing is that we were a little worried about whether or not we'd be able to get the smell out. Thankfully, we found this awesome Arm & Hammer baking soda combined with OxyClean that you sprinkle on a dry carpet, let it sit for a couple of hours or something, and then vacuum it up. Did the job perfectly. Got rid of all the smell, and now it smells nice. And if it ever stops smelling nice, we'll sprinkle it on and do it again.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean,
Nice.
leaving that topic anyway. That just because I was thinking of getting the house clean. So
Sure.
anyway,
I just gave you a hard time.
so right now Megan and her parents are out in Kennecott, and so I've been home by myself yesterday and today and most of tomorrow. I'll be home by myself, and it's a little weird getting used to because when you have someone living with you all the time, it's just weird not having them around. I mean, This is like I think the 4th time that she's been gone while I've been by myself in the past several years. That was much shorter this time. This is like 3 days. But it's just weird to get used to. And when you get to the point where you get used to living with someone all the time, you'll understand exactly what I mean. I mean, I'm sure to some degree you're experiencing that now living on your own.
I like it.
I mean, of course, I guess it is different when it's your family, your siblings, and your parents versus a spouse. But,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I gotta cook my own food, so.
yeah. And I've been doing easy meals. I was going to get a rotisserie chicken yesterday for my dinner, and they didn't have the kinds I like, so I didn't get that. But I did get, I think, enchiladas. And they're awesome.
Nice.
And then I was able to pick up rotisserie chicken today that I'll have for my dinner tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh, that is very yummy. I think it was like probably before we got married, actually, and I started working at the hotel occasionally when I was working the 3 to 11 shift. I'd grab myself a chicken on the way to work, just eat half of that for one meal and have the other half for the next meal. Anyway, so you've been gone a couple weeks. John, why don't you start off telling us what you've been doing?
Alrighty. Well, I had some house guests last week, so we played a lot of Battlefield 3 and Black Ops zombie mode, though. So we played a lot of that. That was good. Got some pretty good waves going on the zombies. Got a little intense. Then when things go wrong, they go very wrong. Everyone dies at the same time usually.
Except for me.
And then the washer goes.
Yeah, and then my washer decides. No, well, the washer was fine. It was the hookup for the washer. And I'm like, I hear running water. You should probably go check that out because I thought it was just my water softener running. Yeah, there was like an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches of water in my laundry room floor.
And is there carpet in there or no?
No, it's tile,
Okay.
thankfully. So almost all the water stayed there. And I'm like, dang it, I don't even have a shop vac. I have a carpet cleaner, so I just sucked it all up.
Yeah.
It's actually a broken carpet cleaner because it doesn't spray anything anymore, but the vacuum
But it
still
sucks,
works.
so that's good.
So we were able to clean it, but yeah, that was a little too much excitement. And then I played, just yesterday, I played a little bit of Space Engineers again, building a super awesome Battlestar spaceship destroyer awesomeness thing. With like a red paint scheme.
There you go.
Racing stripes down the middle.
Really?
Kind of.
Nice.
It's a work in progress.
Okay.
It's got opening hangar bay doors at the bottom.
So no Borderlands 2 in the past couple weeks?
I don't think so.
It's shocking.
I go in spurts. And usually it's when other people are playing. I never really play by myself anymore because I do get really bored.
Yeah.
But when you have a bunch of people. Because a coworker from work bought it, so I had to restart again. But no, it's been good.
All right, Scotty, what about you? What have you been playing the past week?
I played some Zombies at John's, and I beat Dust and Elysian Tale.
Nice. So how was it?
It was really good. Had a really good story, a twist that I didn't really see coming.
That
I mean,
sounds good.
they hinted at it enough that you could kind of figure it out, but there were still parts of the twist that even though you could figure out half of it easily, the other half you still didn't see coming. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really good. Wasn't too difficult. Pretty easy to level up and stuff, so that was nice. Yeah. So I would recommend that one. And it's not very expensive. I think it's $15 when it's full price.
Nice.
So-
Yeah, I got that one as part of the bundle, so I spent $3 and I got that, Guacamelee, the Swapper, Gianna Sisters, and there was one other one. I can't remember what it is.
Nice. I would recommend playing it. It's pretty good.
I have to check that out sometime.
And that's it. Those are the two. That's all I've played this week.
All right. Well, stuff I've been playing. I played some more Smash Brothers Melee.
Nice.
Still love that game. I'm having to try to stop myself from playing it though because I want to try to be able to come to the new Smash Brothers without having my mind programmed so much to the button layout because it's so different.
Yeah.
But it is just fantastic. Something we didn't mention in the news last week that I just want to mention briefly here to lead into this is that they're doing Smash Brothers related sales up through up until it gets released on 3DS, and basically it's just based on one or two or three characters, games based on them. So like there's a bunch of the first one they did Mario and Yoshi, I believe, and so there's like most of the NES Mario games, Super Mario World, I think, and then both Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World on sale quite a bit.
Nice.
And so I finally decided to get Super Mario 3D Land for 3DS,
Nice.
and it's fantastic. I like it pretty much just as much as I like 3D World. It's almost, I mean, the gameplay is basically exactly the same. The only real difference is that 3D World has more, and that 3D Land is solely single player.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it enough to the point where I played through the main game.
Nice.
There's a whole bunch of there's a new set of special worlds beyond that, eight special worlds in addition to the 8 regular worlds. But I got credit, so as far as I'm concerned, I beat the game.
There you go.
Nice.
I mean, I'm counting it as a game completed, and at some point I'll probably finish all the special worlds, but they aren't real difficult. It wasn't extremely difficult, but there were definitely some spots where I just kept dying, mostly because of like accidentally jumping in lava or getting hit by fireballs or
I'm good at
what
that.
have you.
Hit by fireballs.
It got really
Lava
frustrating, especially like the last fight became really frustrating just because I get hit by a fireball or Bowser as I was on my way to the very end, and I'd get almost to the very end of the level, and then I'd run into something and get hit by Bowser or whatever. So I just barely made it out, but I still think the game is absolutely fantastic, and it is a gorgeous looking game.
Nice.
You remember what Super Mario 3D looks
Yeah.
like? I think it looks pretty much just as good as that, except that it's all in 3D and
It's actually in 3D.
yeah.
Cool.
I mean, granted, if you were to put it up on a big screen, it wouldn't look nearly as good.
Yeah.
No, but
But
That's
on,
not a fair
on
comparison.
on the small screen, it looks
Nice.
absolutely amazing. I can even show you guys later if you want. We have time. Anyway, so yeah, I played and finished the main part on that. Played some Borderlands 2.
nice. Wait
Uh,
a minute. I didn't, but you did. Oh man.
Yeah, I felt like playing some more.
Cool.
I don't know how much progress I'll make on my own.
Yeah.
I'll probably
it's-
more just
it's-
want to play with you guys.
It's a fun game. True awesomeness of that game is in co-op because you can do everything that you can do in single player in co-op.
Yeah,
So you get your buddies.
yeah. The only thing I have a harder time with in co-op is just the fact that you guys have played through it so much, so you know where everything is. You're
Yeah.
way more experienced in the game, and that's the other part I had difficulty with playing with you guys. But then when I'm playing single player, I also find that I die more often because I just, even though I think there are more enemies when you're playing in co-op.
Yep,
probably.
They get harder too. The
Yeah.
more people you have, they kind of scale to your party almost.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I just recently did the mission where you have to deliver the nasty pizza to the equivalent of the Ninja Turtles.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
And I finished that mission and then I accidentally got Splinter to come out.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Because I was like,
That's a special button combo.
I saw those lights up there and I'm like, okay, I can't figure this out. And first I was just pressing 3 of them because I didn't realize there was one on the TV.
There's a fourth one. Yep.
And then once I figured that out, then I finally got all the green lights up and popped out.
Yep.
And took me a little bit to beat him, but I got him.
Nice.
I think I was a couple of levels.
Yeah.
But even still, it was pretty fun.
Nice.
I do enjoy that game. It's just a matter of finding a time when I'm in the mood to play it.
Yeah.
So, so I played a bit of that, and then I played a little bit more of Sly 2.
Nice.
I just finished the fourth area where I just got Murray out of jail and finished up that fourth area, and then we went on to the next area, and I barely started that.
Nice.
I'm just touching on that a little bit. I was trying to decide yesterday whether I wanted to try playing some more Infamous because I had the option of using the TV, or if I wanted to do remote play with Shadow of the Colossus and play some more of that, and I ended up doing neither. It's just like when Megan's gone, I tend to be more drained and less motivated to do anything. But I did watch some stuff, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. All right, John, what have you been watching?
I watched Nonstop. That was pretty awesome, actually. That's one with Liam Neeson on an airplane.
Oh, the airplane.
Yeah,
He's a U.S.
He's the
he's a
marshal.
Yeah.
He's the air marshal, and they're like setting him up, so it looks like he's hijacking the plane. It was pretty sweet, basically. It was pretty good.
Did he have a unique set of skills?
Well, he always has a unique set of skills.
All right.
Dude, he took a guy out. It was awesome. Anyhow,
Nice.
but yeah, good movie. Pretty intense. Very intense. But awesome. Good action. And let's see. Then I watched Homefront. That was on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
It was alright.
Is it
It
the one
was
with Jason Statham?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of language. Random scene that didn't need to be in there at all. But the coolest scene ever is he finds this like drug house or whatever, and the guy hello,
Keep talking.
Jason, what? Yes, I watched your movie. You're the best. I don't know.
Keep talking.
Okay. Anyhow,
So he finds a drug house.
before Jason called on the phone and interrupted me, yes, he finds the drug house. So what he does is he turns off the breaker for all the lights. He pulls out all the light bulbs and drills a real small hole in them, fills them up with gasoline. And then he covers the whole place in gasoline, screws the light bulbs back in, and leaves the breaker off. And so you're like, oh, when's it going to blow up? And then they waited like till the end of the movie. They flipped the breaker. You know, explosions everywhere, and I'm like, I kind of want to try this, but that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was very cool. So it was an okay movie, but that scene was the best. I had to watch the explosion twice. You know, those are the good ones. Fireballs everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But let's see. Then I watched Olympus Has Fallen or something like that. That's basically White House Down, but somebody else just made of it. That one was pretty good. Good action, you know, everybody dies. Let's see. Those are the movies. Little Malcolm in the Middle. It's good in between. I think that's it.
Nice.
Something like that. Couple movies.
Scotty?
How I Met Your Mother.
All of it.
All of it. I went from being in the middle of season 5.5 or 6.5, either in the middle of 6 or 5 or at the beginning of 6, I don't know which, to being done in like 3 days. And then I haven't watched much of anything since.
Kind of an overdose there. A TV show.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I've been watching.
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about our feelings on that ending, but we won't spoil anything on the podcast.
Yes.
We'll save that for something else. Though we wouldn't mind hearing from listeners what you guys thought of the ending of How I Met Your Mother if you've gotten that far.
Spoiler, Barney is a superhero. That's not true.
No. All right.
He could be. No, I don't think he could be.
So stuff I've been watching. Of course, a little bit of Top Gear, some Mythbusters. We rented The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which wasn't too bad. It was better than people had said it was, but it's still it wasn't great. I think it was better than Spider-Man 3, but it was still they tried to do a little too much. But it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Better or worse than the first Amazing Spider-Man?
I like it better. Or,
Second one?
I like the first one better.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
I thought it was worth watching, and I will probably end up buying it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the way I feel about it is about the same as I feel about National Treasure 2. There you go.
Pretty good, but
But
not as good as the
not
first
near-
one.
not as good as the first one. Even
Sure.
though, of course, I think the only thing that's a problem with that comparison is that the first National Treasure was really good. The first Amazing Spider-Man was good.
pretty good. Yeah.
Whereas the second National Treasure was okay, and the second Amazing Spider-Man was okay.
Okay.
But it was definitely better than Red 2. Red 2 was garbage.
I have not watched that one yet.
Yeah, we watched it over the summer, and it was a waste of time.
Darn.
It's unfortunate, but
They were on my
yeah.
hopes and dreams.
I mean, you can always rent it if you want to, but I would say
I think it was
you're
on
not
Netflix.
missing out if you don't watch it.
Yeah.
You're really not. Especially because the first one was so great.
Well, I think I did watch the Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I
Yeah,
mentioned
you
that. Did I?
you can. In fact, actually,
Yeah, that
I
was a good
ordered
one.
that,
Good movie.
so I have that coming in the mail.
Nice.
Should be here probably within the next couple of days. Then also we watched The Bucket List.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Haven't watched that in quite a while.
Not too bad.
Since the in-laws were over, and we let them pick out a movie and ended up deciding on The Bucket List. And I mean, granted, I was technically more listening to it than watching it, but it's one where you can pretty much listen to it. You don't have to watch it, especially if you've already seen it. I still caught everything that was going on while I was playing Super Mario 3D Land on my 3DS.
That's called multitasking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I do that a lot with like Cheers and Frasier, things where I don't have to pay attention to what's going on. I can just listen to it. But anyway, and then watched some more Cheers. Finished up season 8 and started season 9. This was sort of a birthday present for Megan and sort of just something for both of us. I got season 3 Person of Interest base, so we decided to restart the series.
Sweet.
We've only watched the first 2 episodes so far because we were watching it with Megan's parents. We haven't had time to watch any more since then.
You believe I'm behind on that show, but I can't remember.
Well, if you want, I do have season 3, and it'll be able to go out before we get that far, so you're welcome tomorrow night. Let's see what else. We watched a documentary called Escape from Alcatraz. I think it was called The True Story or something like that. And there were some things I liked about it, but one of the things I thought was kind of funny is they seem to be emphasizing that this fourth guy who was part of the escape attempt but didn't actually end up escaping, like he told the FBI that essentially he was the brains of the operation, which is real easy to say when you're the only person still around and the other ones have no idea what actually happened. But it was kind of funny because, besides that, and I mean, not everyone in the documentary was saying, "Oh, it was definitely accurate." It was pretty balanced for the most part from some of that early stuff. But the thing that I thought was stupidest was, they were trying to build their own raft out of the raincoats, but apparently they didn't get the FBI drawings of how the raft was supposedly built based on what the guy who stayed behind told them. And so instead of building it like the Mythbusters did, when they tested the myth, like in 2005, 2006, something like that. This was 2009, but this thing came out. They just put 3 pontoons all right next to each other and supposedly proved that it was impossible for them to make it. And also they were going based on the assumption that these guys were in fact aiming for Angel Island, even though they kind of briefly mentioned, well, the tide would have been going towards the bridge, towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they just kind of brushed it under the rug. Whereas the Mythbusters said, well, we think that, especially because of the fact that the main guy, I can't remember what his name was, Frank Morris, I believe is what it was such an expert at escaping from prisons. Like he had been doing it. That's the reason why he got sent to Alcatraz, is because he was so good at escaping these others, and I thought, well, there's no way to get out of here. That he would have figured out, especially through observation and stuff, that the tide was not going to take them to Angel Island, that they probably just told the other prisoners, we're going to Angel Island, but we're actually shooting for where the tide would actually take them, and landing right near the foot of the Golden Gate Bridge. And the Mythbusters, which we actually watched that episode right after watching this,
Nice.
Showed that it was very possible, if they go based on the FBI drawings, to make a raft out of these raincoats and to make it across safely. And that, I don't know, I just thought it was so dumb that this other documentary completely ignored that aspect. I mean, maybe because it was not like a as well funded of a thing, they weren't able to get that information from the FBI. All they had to do was watch Mythbusters. It's like Mythbusters covered this years ago, and you're now covering this. You're doing it completely wrong, and you're not proving anything. All you're doing is proving that you're a moron. But anyway, so yeah, the only other thing I watched was Kick-Ass 2. Because I had seen the original one, which is unbelievably violent. Like, it was ridiculous. And I just had mixed feelings about the movie, because it's just kind of like this little girl slicing people's limbs off and stuff is kind of disturbing. But I was just like, but there was something about it that was interesting enough to where I wouldn't mind watching the second one, especially since I'm not paying for the individual movie. I get discs, so I rented it and watched it, and it was pretty interesting. And you're still pretty over the top on the violence, and some of those things just made me cringe. Just like, oh, that's horrible. But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting enough. If you liked the first one, it's worth watching the second one. Or if the first one was interesting enough to you, it's worth checking out.
There you go.
There you go.
But yeah. Well, that's all I got for stuff I've been watching. So, if we don't got anything else, why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we will do the news. Anything you guys want to do, bathroom or whatever, before we continue on?
I'm good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm downstairs.
Let's try to see if we can get through news before Dan gets on. Okay, so we are back. We're going to talk news. We're going to start off with Sony. I really only have one thing under them, and that is that I'm not sure if it was Activision or Bungie, but one of them was saying that Destiny, they noticed a lot of people during the beta were using remote play with their Vitas to play Destiny, and so they ended up doing some features to optimize playing on the Vita.
Nice.
Mapping some of the specific things like throwing grenades and a couple other things like issuing party commands or something to the touchscreen, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, when I read about this, I was like, okay, well, if they don't announce a PC version and I have a PS4 at the time, I'm going to get it for PS4 and play on the Vita. I'm just going to get past my problem with the dual analogs and do it because that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of refreshing because usually, like, for a AAA title and a big company, the beta really is more of like a promotional gig.
Promotional and test the servers.
Yeah. Like
if they're smart, they'll test the servers.
Exactly. But most 9 times out of 10, it's like we'll call it a beta, but really it's basically done. Draw people in type of thing. So to see that they actually took something and were like, oh hey, look at this. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's very awesome. I mean, that did sell me on the idea of getting a console version. But Activision has kind of hinted that a PC version will be coming, and they haven't
I've heard a rumor, and I don't know if that's all it is. I secretly want it because
exactly.
I don't have a PS4, but I do have a good computer.
Yeah,
so
it's like, there is technically the option to where if I really wanted to, I could get it on the PS3 or something.
Yeah, I discounted that already. I played the beta on my PS3. It was good, but I just feel like it could be so much better on a PS4 or a computer or something.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but the big thing is, most of all, if there's actually a PC version coming, I'm just going to wait for that because, it's not going to look as good on my PC as it will on PS4 because my PC is just not as powerful. But mouse and keyboard, that's the biggest issue for me because I feel much more comfortable with that. Plus, then I can play it anywhere, which is even better than remote play because remote play, it depends on internet connection more than anything, and if I can play it on my computer, I have a laptop and I bring it with me everywhere, just about, so. Anyway.
Oh, Destiny's all online though.
That's true too.
Because it's an MMO.
That's true.
Technically.
But
FPS
that may or may not make as much of a difference. It just depends. I don't know. But anyway. So that's all I got for Sony news. Microsoft has a really great deal going on this week. It's only through the end of this week, but through the 13th. But if you buy an Xbox One, you get any game you want for free.
Whoa.
That includes Destiny. So if you've been on the fence about buying an Xbox One,
stay on the fence. I mean, go for it.
Go the other way.
You can get the bundle for $400, and that's of course without Kinect, and you can pick out any game you want, even Destiny if you so choose. There's also a bundle that it does include the Kinect for $500, and it also includes Forza Motorsport 5, and then you still get the free game promotion. So that's a pretty solid deal for $500.
That actually is. I feel like that's the better way to go because then you're getting 2 games, which is $120 value.
Yeah.
For basically $20 less than what it is, and you get the Kinect. So
there you go. Yeah, if you don't want the Kinect, then go without the Kinect. But if you want Kinect, for the Xbox One, which, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to get one, you might as well just get the Kinect.
Yeah.
Even if all you use it for is like random party games, that's still kind of fun when you have people.
The random party games.
Or the voice commands. Like I would use it for probably voice commands, and the gestures, things like that. Like being able to move through apps by waving your hand in the air and that sort of thing. I think there's some things that are really cool about it. It's just there's not enough to convince me to buy one.
Yeah. Pretend that you're in Minority Report. Be great.
That would be great.
But not great enough to make me buy an Xbox One.
Because it's always watched. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Well, it probably is, but whatever. I really care.
Alright. The only other thing I have under Microsoft is that Microsoft is supposedly in talks to purchase Minecraft developer Mojang, or Mojang, or however it's pronounced, for $2 billion.
$2 billion?
Minecraft is shooting.
I know.
I feel like that
Wow.
they're ripping them off
Yeah.
at that
Well,
price.
Who knows if it could go for even more than that, but
If they're smart, they'll sell it for more. I think that's yeah, they're getting ripped off if they sell it for only $2 billion.
Holy.
That's ridiculous that I'm saying.
I know it
that.
is.
I mean, Minecraft is on the charts.
It's-
Oh, I know it is.
It's
I mean,
huge.
It never leaves the charts,
It's
especially the 360 version. That's just like it's on the charts every single week, usually like top 5.
That's ridiculous.
And it's been out on 360 for years now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then, of course, with it also being on PS3, selling much that way, and then it should be coming to PS4 very soon. It'll be selling much that way, and Vita, which should sell even more. It's just
That's
it's
nuts.
a huge cash cow.
Yep.
Anyway,
So if Microsoft buys it, how is that gonna work for a Microsoft game to be on a Sony system?
well, because of the fact that it will have already been on there, there's
Yeah.
nothing they can do about it. But if they do anything further with it, they don't necessarily have to.
Yeah,
And it could just be that the developer will come up with something new and different besides Minecraft, and it will be Microsoft exclusive.
yeah.
There's no way of knowing for sure until we see whether or not this actually even goes through.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I actually do have to agree with you. I think that $2 billion is too little.
I had that much money just to throw around.
Because that game,
Yeah.
that game makes so
It's
much
huge.
money.
Yeah. It's huge on PC, huge on the 360. The other systems it's just now coming out on, so it's
Yeah.
only gonna get bigger on those.
Yeah.
Plus, you have it on the Apple products.
Yeah.
And-
Pocket Edition or whatever it's called, something like that.
The
Yeah,
game version.
It's huge on those because kids at school just play that instead of working. Not the kindergartners though. The older kids.
Yeah.
I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's all they do during lunch. It's silly.
Wow.
But
During lunch in our day, we actually talked.
we talk and eat lunch.
Yeah.
Or play Game Boy.
Or yeah. But-
actually, I never played Game Boy.
I would play cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd usually eat my lunch. Nowadays, kids hardly even eat their lunches anymore.
What is this world coming to?
know. Or a good lunch can't even get eaten.
Sad lunch.
Oh, well.
Anyway. All right, so now we got some Nintendo news. First off is that Nintendo Treehouse is doing a live event, which I believe is starting at 9 a.m. on Friday. It's going to be 8 hours long, focusing on upcoming games for both 3DS and Wii U, including Smash Brothers for 3DS.
Nice.
I'm assuming, as far as I know, it's going to be the final build that they're actually going to be showing. So that's pretty sweet. Of course, it's coming out in Japan on what's the equivalent of Friday in North America, because it's coming out on the 13th in Japan, but Japan's a day ahead.
Yeah.
So it'll be Friday in North America, and there are a few people out there who have Japanese 3DSs and will actually be able to get the game. But
Close down.
Man.
yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'll probably be checking that out. I mean, that'll be going on mostly while I'm at work, so I can just have that playing in the background while I'm doing whatever. Watch some of it, and hopefully they'll actually be showing off this next game, which is Watch Dogs. Finally has a release date for Wii U for November 18th. So hopefully they'll finally be showing off the Wii U version. I'm really hoping they actually do something with the gamepad because they have delayed the game for 6 months. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be doing something special with the gamepad. But it's very possible that all they're going to do is just put the map on there. And if that's all they do, I mean, I still am going to get the Wii version because I want to support the platform and because I like playing on the gamepad when I have the option. I just think that's wonderful. But we'll see how that goes. So, next thing I have here is that Masahiro Sakurai, creative director behind Smash Brothers, has revealed that, unlike in previous iterations of Smash Brothers, where you had something like 4 different color variations for each character, this time it's going to be 8.
Ooh, nice.
Colors and or skins. So some characters will have alternate skins in addition to alternate colors, and some of them will just have alternate colors. He showed off ones for Samus in her suit, and it had color variations that basically gave her the equivalent of suits from various Metroid games, and all of them look pretty awesome. But what's really exciting to me, and I'm sure you guys will think this is very cool too, is there was a leaked image, which seems to be legit, showing the lower screen on the 3DS with the character image for Link wearing one of his alternate costumes, which is Fierce Deity.
Oh,
Yes! He will be a boss.
nice.
So
He's already been main guy. Like,
though based on the screenshot, it was. I mean, it doesn't show whether he's just holding the normal Master Sword or if he actually has the Double Helix Sword.
that'd be cool.
That'd be sick.
I mean, even if they make the Double Helix thing one-handed, which they would have to if they're going to keep his shield on. Either way, I mean, it seems like it looked like it was legitimate.
I have a bad feeling, though, that these will be unlockables. That I'll work way too hard to get.
Oh, well, maybe. But even if that is
Could
the
be
case,
worse.
you know, the fact is that's stinking awesome.
Yeah.
Fierce Deity is awesome.
Because we haven't had Fierce Deity Link in anything except for Majora's Mask, and
Only in the boss fights.
yeah, and well, unless you use the little glitch, but I mean, he was kind of worthless outside of boss fights because you couldn't pull out any items, and you know his sword only worked just to a minor degree, but still.
It was cool.
Yeah.
That was like the best part of that game. No, that's not true. The whole game was good, but
That was definitely
the final mask was like.
very, very awesome. All right. Then next thing I got here is that there are exclusive 3DS XLs coming to GameStop. 3 different ones. One is based off of the NES. The top of this 3DS has what looks basically like a sticker of the NES controller, which I think is kind of lame looking. I wish it just looked like an actual NES system, and then on the inside looked like a controller.
That'd be cool. Like actually square off the corners and everything.
That'd be terrible.
But the buttons are red, and some of them are black,
Nice.
things like that. It's kind of cool looking, but I think that the NES themed one they did for GBA SP was much cooler because it actually looked more like an NES.
Yeah.
And yeah. But anyway, so there's that one, and then the Smash Brothers one that we saw before. That one's coming both in red and blue.
Nice.
And then lastly, there's one that's based off of. That's going to be for the Persona Q, Shut Out the Labyrinth, which is combining the words of both 3 and 4.
Nice.
Persona 3 and 4. And it looks like the Persona Compendium, the book for that. So it looked pretty cool, but I don't know. I mean, of
Very
these
nice.
3, the only one that really appeals to me is the Smash Brothers one, and I'm still not getting it.
Yeah.
Especially with the new 3DS coming out. I mean, that's even more of a reason for me not to get one.
Very nice.
Cool.
I'm not gonna get them either.
No.
That's
I
a
like-
lot of
I
that's
like
a lot
mine.
of money.
Yeah. Yeah, for just a slight color change. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try to see if I can find like a Smash Brothers sticker or
Sharpie and all
some,
that.
yeah, some type of like skin that you can put on. I think would be really good. But
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be sick.
not gonna buy a new system just for that. Especially because then I would just have an extra 3DS, and I already have a 3DS XL and an original model. And
Then you could dual wield XLs. Played twice as many games, twice as fast.
See though,
Nose and toes.
you can play them all with the left side. There are some games you can play using only the left side. That really doesn't work with.
Circle pad.
Still wouldn't work.
Change it to left-handed.
Oh, there you go. It would work.
But anyway.
You could dual wield Pokemon.
And fight yourself.
You could. That'd just be silly.
That would be silly.
Yeah.
So you'd always win.
Yeah.
Anyway, couple more things. One is that Monster Hunter 4 is getting a collector's edition coming out next year. And I think that the release date is end of March. And that comes with a statue based off of one of the new monsters, a pin, a lanyard, I believe, and I think maybe like an art book or something. I can't remember. I can't remember
Statue's
which
life
size.
size.
Yeah. But anyway, $60. I pre-ordered it.
Nice.
I haven't even decided for sure if I really want to play it. Mostly just because of the fact that while I love Monster Hunter 3, I've eventually gotten to a point, like right now I'm at a point where it's just, I don't know how much more I'm going to end up doing in the game. Because, I mean, I put over 200 hours in it, and I do enjoy it. It just, sometimes when you get to those points where you're having to grind a little bit more because you want to obtain a certain suit of armor, and the only item you need happens to be one of those things that's extremely hard to get because, or, yeah, the desire sensor is in full effect. But I went ahead and pre-ordered it mostly just because I knew that if I didn't, that they would completely run out. And then if I changed my mind later, I wouldn't have the option. So I just went for it. And $60 really isn't bad for everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So yeah. And the very last thing with Nintendo is that yesterday Japan got a demo of the 3DS version of Smash Brothers. I actually was able to watch a couple of live streams where they showed it off, and man, that game looks good.
Nice.
I mean, it looks just as good as the Wii version, and I mean, they had it blown up so that it was taking up a much larger screen than the 3DS screen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in 3D either, of course, because I'm looking at it on my computer screen, and it just looked really good. I mean, of course, it doesn't look as good as the Wii U version. The Wii U version looks way better, but it looks as good as the Wii version, as far as I'm concerned. And I think with the 3D on, that always makes a big difference. It always makes the game look even better. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Well, obviously, I'm stoked about it. I talk about Smash Brothers all the time lately.
It's a great game.
But
the new one will be awesome.
Yeah, and they haven't given any confirmation of us getting a demo out here. It is a pretty limited demo. Like, you can only use 5 different characters, even though they showed, I think it was like 35 characters, what appears to be the starting roster. It's just 35 characters, and that's just the starting. That's before you get all the additional characters.
Yeah.
The way I calculated it out based on some leaked images and the amount of slots that appear to be left, it looks like it'll be roughly around 53 characters that we could end up getting.
I had a hard enough time in the original one.
You only have like 3 characters to unlock.
But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a good chance we'll get a demo out here.
Nice.
Because the way Sakurai was talking about it in his post for today made it sound like we're gonna get a demo out here. He just didn't, confirm it. I imagine probably they'll confirm it on Friday when they're showing off Smash Brothers. So anyway, it's awesome.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to playing it very much so. And that'll have to hold me over. And as I was telling Scotty, I went ahead and decided to go for the digital version of the 3DS, just because I want to play it day one.
There you go.
I'll buy a hard copy later when it's cheap. So.
Nice.
All right, and last thing we got is some multi-platform news. So just go over a few things real quickly here. First off is, of course, Destiny is now available for PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and 360. Anyone who buys the PS3 or 360 version digitally can upgrade to PS4 or Xbox One for free. Which is part of why I was halfway considering getting the PS3 version.
Alright.
because it's like, hey, you can upgrade. That's pretty awesome. But of course, the fact that it's online only, that makes it even harder for me to want to play. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll probably just wait for PC, and then we can play together. So.
Yep.
Next thing I got here is Arkham Knight now has a release date, which is June 2nd, 2015. There's a collector's edition, which includes a transformable Batmobile model, and the cost of that, obviously with the game as well, is $199.
Jeez.
But you got a transformable Batmobile, Scotty.
It's big, it's high quality, and it does transformations and stuff that it'll do in game. So
That is pretty sweet.
Oh, it's very sweet.
I mean,
That's
it
a
looks-
lot of money.
yeah, it's way more than I'm going to spend on special edition. That Batmobile looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But, plus, I don't even know when I'm actually going to have a PS4.
Or a Batmobile.
I'm not gonna have a Batmobile.
Darn. Well, you can dream, right?
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate off-road machine.
Depends on which Batmobile you go with.
Yeah.
True.
If you go with the one from the 60s, that's not going
Not
off-roading
sexy,
anywhere.
but it is cool.
But it's pretty
If
awesome.
you go for the one from the Dark Knight movies, or
Yep.
the one from Arkham Knight,
Yep.
or the one from the Dark Knight Returns.
Basically anywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, last thing I got here is that Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a real thing, and it's coming to all consoles: PS3, 360, PS4, and Xbox One, except for Wii. And that's early 2015, and it's going to be released in 4 episodes, each one a week apart from the
Interesting.
episode format.
Huh.
I think it's a good thing in some ways.
Yeah.
Just from the standpoint of you get a good taste, you get to enjoy it, and then you get to enjoy another part of next week. But I don't know. It doesn't matter too much to me because I didn't play the first one, and so I don't really care that much. Resident Evil just isn't really my thing. If I was going to play it, I'd play it on PC. I think that one's also coming to PC, actually. I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But anyway, you guys got anything else?
No?
Alright, well, we're going to take a break here, and when Dan shows, we will go ahead and talk with him about Destiny. So stay tuned.
Cool.
Alright, well, I guess we're just going to have basically random stuff for a while while we wait for Dan. Because he said he would be home around 8:30 his time, which is 7 our time. So. I guess while we're waiting, are there any questions you guys want to ask him, either about Destiny or anything like that? Mostly about Destiny is what we want to focus on, Chris.
Yeah.
Because you have to work with it, which is cool.
I'll tell you what questions I have, and you can tell me if you have anything else. And maybe if you just think of something when we're talking to him, that works too. Have him give us a brief intro explaining his job and the big games he's worked on, and then give us a summary of what Destiny is, essentially. And then we'll go into the effects that he worked on for the game, which is going to be a pretty massive amount, because he said he's had a lot to talk about there. And then the last thing I was going to ask him is what effect he's most proud of. So,
Okay.
you guys can at least think about it. If you come up with anything, you let me know.
It's kind of easier in conversation
Which
sometimes.
character would he recommend?
Oh yeah.
Which class?
Which class is his favorite?
That's a good.
Just saying, what was it? The Warlock? That one was fun.
/ which class did he work on the most?
Which one's most OP? What? Actually, no. I think it's
Like sort of insider trading?
Yeah.
kind of?
Well, yeah. No, it seems like it's a very well balanced.
Yeah.
I don't know, the game's been out for 2 days now, so if we looked online, I'm sure we could figure out which class.
Yeah.
Could you grab me a Dr. Pepper there, Scott?
Yes.
Thank you, sweetheart.
John, did you want something?
Yeah, this is getting low in the chat. Power C. Power C. Hang on. Yes.
Send Dan an extra invite just in case the first one didn't go through. But of course, it's not quite 7:30 yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna get this.
Sweet. Good choice.
But I'll just wait till I can get a hard copy.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Good evening.
Oh,
Whoa.
hey there.
Howdy.
Wasn't expecting you to be home so early. Cool.
Actually, I've been home for a little while now, but I haven't been able to get a hold of you. And for some reason, I didn't get any invites. So, but here I am. I'm here now.
Yeah, this system's a little screwy sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but anyway, I'm here. What's up?
That'll work. It's good because we actually pretty much just finished
Oh, great. Good.
stuff a couple minutes ago. So, all right. So I'll get started. And we're back. And now we have a special guest joining us, and that is a guy whose destiny is to be asked repeatedly when Destiny is coming to PC, Mr. Dan Brewington of FXville. So Dan, it's great to have you on the show again, especially now that Destiny is actually out and you can actually talk about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good to be here, and I can talk about some of it, of course. I can talk about some of my contribution, perhaps.
Nice. Absolutely. I just realized this is probably going to have a little bit of an echo, so we'll do our best to work with that. But I guess we'll have to see how things go. So Dan, for our listeners who are not aware who you are, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a bit, just give basic idea of what your job is at FXville and some of the big games that you've worked on.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dan Brewington. I'm an effects artist. I work at FXville, which is a contracting company that does effects work for games. Effects being explosions, bullets, water, particles, anything that is like non-solid special effects, basically. And as far as projects I've worked on quite a few. I worked on Call of Duty Black Ops 2, although I wasn't doing effects work for them. And I worked on Injustice, and I worked on Destiny as well with the Bungie team.
And didn't you say that you also worked on Bioshock Infinite a little bit?
Yeah, I did some test work, like some prototyping for them, but I don't think any of the content that I worked on ended up shipping. FXville has worked on Bioshock Infinite and its expansions and things.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I still think it's fun to give you a little bit of credit, even if you weren't directly involved, just because you worked for that company, and Bioshock Infinite was awesome.
yeah, it was pretty incredible.
All right, so Dan, why don't you give, especially for any of our listeners who might have been under a rock for the past few years or living in a cave or something like that, a summary of what Destiny actually is.
Well, Destiny is I guess it's billed as a shared world shooter. It's online only. It's on next generation consoles and previous generation consoles as well. It's a first-person shooter made by Bungie, and that's probably the best accolade you could possibly have in this industry.
Because all the Halos are awesome.
Pretty much, yeah. And before that, in fact, Bungie, was kicking butt ever since Marathon, so.
Yeah, true. Sweet. All right. So Dan, before we get into any questions from the guys here, I want you to tell us about some of the stuff that you actually did on Destiny.
Yeah, so primarily my work on Destiny was environment effects, supplemental effects to help bring the environments to life. And the environment art team at Bungie is world class. Those probably the best in the business that I've ever seen for sure. And the way Bungie does their storytelling through environment is really inspiring. So it was really cool to be able to be a part of that team indirectly and sort of helping bring spaces even closer to feeling like, you know, humanity's golden age that has long since passed. So I did a lot of dust, dust falling from the ceiling, dust blowing in the wind, that kind of stuff. Water, lots of dripping. The joke is everything needs more drips. Just constantly everything should be dripping.
There was a lot of dripping now that you mention it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, you know, abandoned things, they drip. The water makes its way through.
They're dusty and drippy.
But I also got to do a lot of kind of more interesting stuff because the world of Destiny, their mythic science fiction world is incredibly diverse when it comes to the kinds of things you might see, both from a fantasy and a science fiction perspective. So I really got a chance to kind of stretch my legs and do some pretty incredible set piece effects.
Very cool. Sweet. So I played the beta, and we were mainly based in Russia there. You said you mainly then would have done like the dust in that or something like that, or is there an effect in particular there?
Sure, yeah. The old Russia environment, obviously being part of the environment effects team, I think we were a pretty close-knit group, and it would be hard to say that anything is specifically like mine and mine alone, right? It was such a collaborative effort. But yeah, I mean, I worked on anything from the snow that falls to the dust and snow that's blowing off of the cornices of various dunes and things like that, and of course water drips. During that very first mission, when you're waking up as a guardian and going in through the wall, you might notice a lot of like areas where there are thick streams of water pouring into small puddles, and I did a lot of those. But my big sort of set piece effects is I was honored to be asked to do some of the cinematic effects when you first get your ship.
Sweet.
Nice.
So when you're getting your ship and its engines are powering up and it starts kicking up all the dust and debris in the room.
I remember that cutscene quite well.
Yes. Yeah, that's my moment there for sure when it comes to old Russia.
Very sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
So you played the beta. Did you enjoy the beta? Did you have a good time?
I did. I almost forgot about it, and so I only caught it on like the last 2 days, and within that time I beat every story mission that was available in like one sitting.
Yeah, you devoured it.
You know, because like I mean, you know, a lot of Destiny was fairly hush hush, so I knew, and then we had talked with you a little bit, so that kind of perked my interest. But then like I kind of almost forgot about it, and then like I logged on to watch Netflix, and my PS3's like Destiny beta out. And I'm like, download, and so then I played way too long.
What an incredible thing it was when they just opened it up to everybody. I thought that was a really cool gesture, and
yeah.
it was amazing playing in the beta, like
what sold me on it.
So
yeah, that's really what sold me on it too. And then like I kind of liked that, you know, having played a lot of the other Halos, I could see some of that influence, but it really is its own game. And,
yeah.
You know, a lot of the like, you know, part of it, I was playing through a solo mission by myself because I didn't have any buddies on, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then suddenly I'm like, wait, this is an MMO. I forgot, you know, and it was pretty sweet. It's very well done.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I like that sort of shared experience is something that it was kind of always the dream, right? When we were playing, you know, whenever we were testing internally at Bungie or whatever, you'd have such a small sampling of people that are around, and you never really quite got it, you know, or at least I didn't. But you could tell there was a vision there. There's somebody knew that was going to work, and when it finally came to fruition during the beta, and seeing like going into these spaces and just having random people moving through on their own missions, but then like colliding with you for a minute to do a public event or something. and it works really, really, really well.
That's awesome. So you got to work directly with Bungie then?
Yeah. For a while, I was embedded on the team there, so that was pretty incredible. They have what I would call a world-class effects team, probably some of the best in the biz for sure. And
Nice.
working with them was inspiring and motivating and challenging, and my favorite thing I've ever done in my entire life. So.
Very, very cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, actually being able to see it in the beta really opened it up for me. Now I'm going to hold out maybe until I get a PS4 to actually enjoy it fully.
Yeah, well, you could, as Nathan mentioned earlier, you can buy it on PS3 digitally and upgrade to PS4 for free.
That's true, which is an awesome deal.
And you'll bring your character with you. So, yeah, it's pretty tempting, right? So
That is kind of tempting.
yeah. Here I am now I'm marketing, I guess, but
Give the man a raise.
That'll convince me to buy it too. Then you and I can.
There you go.
We can play online and
See what we
then
can do.
when we actually get PS4s, we can.
I just spent money in my head, I think.
I'm very seriously considering it, but I'm just not sure if I can convince my wife to let me do it, especially because I have Hyrule Warriors coming on at the end of September. Then I have Smash Brothers 3DS coming
oh yeah.
in October. Then Bayonetta 2 coming out at the end of October. And then Smash Brothers for Wii U sometime in November.
Oh, man.
And then on top of that, well, either for Christmas or with Christmas money, I'm planning on buying Watch Dogs for Wii U. So
It's gonna be a good holiday.
It is a great holiday.
Man.
I'm not sure I'll be able to buy Destiny just yet.
We'll work on
see
it.
what happens.
We'll work on it. So you said you were able to do a lot of internal testing of the game as it was being made, basically.
Well, when you're working on a game, in general, in the games industry, you're almost always working in engine, testing what you hope to be final content. It's never fun to work in a vacuum and then realize later that all the things that you did won't actually be able to ship with the game. So
Sure.
you spend a lot of time, riding the rocky roller coaster that is engine and tools development as a game is being made. So.
Okay, sweet. So what is your favorite class?
Favorite class? That's a tough one.
It is a trick question.
I think the Warlock is my favorite class. It is the space magic, of course. So, like, if you want to be a space wizard, there's almost nothing cooler than that.
Yeah.
And the effects work for the Warlock is my absolute favorite effects work in the game.
That's actually the class I picked during the beta.
Yeah.
It as a space wizard makes it sound way more awesome than just calling it a warlock.
Well, it feels awesome.
It
Gliding
does.
around, you can kind of hover as a warlock, and
Yep.
they're unlike the other two. Their abilities really do kind of feel like magic spells, where you're just throwing
I know
molten death at your enemies, basically.
Melee attack was awesome.
Yeah, the void punch or whatever. where-
Yes. So like,
I think some people call it the high five of doom because your hand is spread. It's like high five. Oh.
that's a great one. Did you get played it all, Nathan?
No,
or
I
have?
haven't.
Okay, so as the warlock, you're melee. You basically you high five the guy in the face, but it's like this glowing orb of energy that comes out and hits
Nice.
them. And I've almost one hit kill most things with it. You're just like bam, and they're gone.
Well, I think we have a title for the episode, High Five for Doom.
I love it.
And that's not even the class that is focused on melee attacks. Like, the Titan is better at melee than the Warlock, and it
I
just gets
thought-
crazy with their shoulder charge and their falcon kick and all that, so.
Oh man.
Nice.
Well, because like a lot of games, the melee is just kind of tacked on, and you're like, I'm not actually doing anything. And so it was kind of refreshing to actually, like, I'm out of ammo, I need to reload. Oh, I can use a melee and actually get a kill.
Yeah.
That
In
was
fact, the game, like, encourages fisticuffs in a lot of ways.
It'll be like this.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, but that being said, I think the hunter is more fun to play in PvP when you're playing against other players. Just because they're the ones that have all of the really tricky stuff. Which, I mean, it's cool and all tricking the enemy AI combatants, right? But it's way more fun to trick other people and then just sneak in and get a bunch of kills. So
Sweet.
I might actually have to try out that class. That sounded
They
more my speed, maybe.
yeah, if you, the hunter is what somebody called it, space rogue or something. Yeah.
sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of want to play all the classes at once.
Mm.
Not gonna lie.
Well, you have 3 character slots. You can make one of each.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm assuming that the gameplay is cross-platform. Did you?
No.
It's
Nope.
not.
No, it is only whatever platform you're on is who you can connect to.
PS3 to PS3, PS4 to PS4,
Okay.
Xbox,
So
etc.
I was thinking at first, if the 3 of us got it, then we could all play together. But since unless Scotty gets it on PS3,
He's not going to do that.
although if you buy it on PS3, you could just upgrade for free to PS4, and then you can play on both.
I know.
But I can understand why you wouldn't want to, because it is going to look way better.
Looks
on
so
PS4.
nice on the PS4.
Yes, it does.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it definitely was a game that went from being kind of like slightly on the radar to like maybe most anticipated / definitely gonna buy game.
Cool. Yeah. I would say that like Destiny's major thing is that you really kind of don't get it until you feel it, until you play it and feel it for yourself.
Yeah.
And then it starts to get its hooks in you, and you're like, oh, I get it now. So.
That sounds cool.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit more convinced. I still don't know if I can shake buying it sometime soon, but I am tempted to buy it. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Sweet.
I'm probably gonna buy it within the next 2 weeks. Not
There you
gonna lie.
Well, anything more you want to add that we haven't covered, maybe, or?
Just that it was an absolutely incredible project to work on, and I think Bungie as a developer are the single, like they have this mindset about them that is so unique to them, that is so community focused, and it just produces such a great work environment and great games. So I will support them probably for the rest of my life. So I'm going to keep buying Bungie games even if I'm not working on them. How about that?
Awesome. So, what's a summary of a typical day in the office?
For me in general, or at Bungie?
Well, we'll stick with working at Bungie.
A lot of go in and be as creative as possible, solve problems as they come up, and problems, of course, arise constantly when you're working on anything as technical as a game. But the real thing that got me was the creativity part. I was almost never presented with a laundry list of this is what we need, sort of things where it's like, we need to get this, and this. It was more, this space needs things to bring it alive. What can we do creatively in that space? And it was always a collaboration between everyone involved. So that's, I think, why it really pushes that envelope so much, and why there's so much great detail and fine, small things everywhere you look in that, is because everyone was given a lot of trust in creating this world, because they were able to share a vision amongst the entire studio, and then people just brought that forth. So different than a lot of different ways of. I mean, there are of course other ways of making games, but that one was the most collaborative that I've ever been involved in, and thus one of the most rewarding.
That's cool. A lot more like a community sense that you don't usually see in a company that size.
Yeah, and the leads at Bungie have been there for a while, and they know their jobs so well, and they know what it takes to make one of these kinds of games really shine so well that it was like being under the wing of Da Vinci or something, you know.
Nice.
Yes, master. That's awesome.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we take our little break and such?
Oh, I'll probably think of like 10 more questions once we're done. But hey, thanks for chatting with us, Dan.
Yeah, no, anytime. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for having me on.
Can you say anything about the next project you'll be working on, if you know anything?
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around. I've worked on a number of other projects since Destiny, in fact, and I don't think I am allowed to say who I'm working for at the moment. So sorry. It's a common thing.
And he'd have to kill you.
I'm of course under NDA. So, but yeah, there's always work to be found in the games industry, and I found myself in a pretty interesting space now. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks again, guys, and have a great night.
Hey, you
Yeah,
too.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, I guess now we'll take a little break here, and when we come back, we'll finish off the podcast with our closing thoughts.
I hope there wasn't too bad of an echo.
I don't think it got it, because at least what it was showing on here, because I think Google does a really good job cutting out background stuff. It's every time I've pulled something off the video, it sounded super clean.
Good.
Nice.
And like I didn't have any little audio thing come up when Dan was talking show up as you as me. So I think hopefully
That'd be good. Yeah.
But if it is, then oh well. It's my fault
Do what you can.
for not thinking about that, but I think it'll be alright.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Google usually does a good job of
Nice. I didn't think you'd be able to say much of anything about what he's working on.
It's a good
now.
question to ask. You gotta ask it.
Why not?
You gotta
He's
ask.
here. Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
Like I said, he could tell you, and he'd have to kill you.
What's unfortunate is I didn't realize he got home about, it looked like about 6:45.
Oh.
Oh, really?
I just forgot to bring up the email to keep an eye on it just in case he got home early.
Oops.
And so I was expecting 7:30. I mean, either way, I think it probably would have been a little more difficult for him to get in.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But,
kind of sucks to walk straight in from work or whatever and
Yeah.
sit down and do that. But so, where's he at?
I think Washington.
Oh, okay.
Washington.
Yeesh.
All right. Let's get back into this thing. All right, we're back. So let's just finish off the show with our closing thoughts. John, since it's been a little longer for you, why don't you go first?
Sure thing. Well, I was just glad we were able to talk with Dan. That was a good conversation. Give a little bit of insight into one aspect of, Destiny, because it's a pretty big game right now. I mean, just released, and so that was good that we were able to talk with him and see what's going on there. But yeah, I think I just spent money to buy it in my head already, even though I told myself I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll play games.
I would just like to recommend the game Dust, an Elysian Tale. You can get it off Steam.
It's coming to PS4.
Is it coming to PS4? Man. Maybe you should wait to get it on PS4, I don't know. I played it all using the PS4 controller on the PC, and it worked really well. So, yeah, you could do it that way too. Totally worth it. It's not a super long game, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I'll probably try and see if I can get my Wii Pro controller working on that. I've just had, depending on the game, like some of the games work just fine, but like when I try to play Tomb Raider with it, the one problem I was having is that for some reason, whenever I moved the right joystick, it would register it as me pressing the left trigger.
Huh, that's weird.
So basically, I'd be trying to move the joystick so that I'd be changing my viewing angle, change the camera angle, and she'd pull out her bow. And it's like, okay, that's annoying. And I tried it on a couple other games and it kind of did the same thing. But then when I played Guacamelee, I had no problems with it at all.
Huh.
At least once I got it working. And using the D-pad was great for that game. Much better than the 360's D-pad, which is just awful. Yeah, I guess you guys already talked, so you got nothing else, Scotty?
Nope, not at the moment.
Okay. Well, first off, I definitely want to say thank you to Dan for joining us again. It's really awesome to actually be able to hear more of what you did on Destiny, and just thinking about those effects that sometimes seem like really little things that we might take for granted. It's just cool to think about those things, and when I think back to other games I played, I can't think of a whole lot of games earlier on where they actually had effects like that, like dust moving, unless it was part of a cutscene or something, and the drips of water and whatnot. It's just kind of interesting to think about, and I'm looking forward to checking out the game, and I know that I'm probably just going to have to wait. I am tempted to buy it, especially because I have a little bit of time before Hyrule Warriors comes out, and I mean, once that comes out, I'll probably be playing that until Smash Brothers arrives, and then maybe playing Smash Brothers until Bayonetta arrives, and so on.
It's an endless cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it was great having you on, Dan. Great to hear more about Destiny and to pretty much sell all of us on buying the game.
I already kind of wanted it. Not gonna lie. The beta did it for me. Stupid beta.
I just needed the extra push.
Yeah. The extra shove.
I was at a 45 on the fence.
Tipping towards buy.
Yeah, someone just needed to tap the fence
There
a
you
little
go.
bit.
There you
Just
go.
tap it in. Tap-tap-a-roo.
Boom.
Give it a little tap.
So, Dan, you should make commission off these sales. Just
I
saying.
think so, too.
No, I don't know.
I don't think it works that way.
I don't think so, but
But
we say it does. So.
All right, so a couple other things. One is I want to recommend Super Mario 3D Land on 3DS. In fact, I would say, I don't know if you guys are wanting to buy it necessarily, but it's $20 right now on the eShop through, I think, at least through tomorrow. And it's a great game. I mean, it's really, really good. Really a lot of fun. And, even if you're not big on Mario games. So,
Sweet.
definitely worth checking out. And the last thing is, I talked last week about an article I wrote for Geeks with Wives on Super Smash Brothers and why it is the perfect fighting game, especially for people who don't like fighting games. That article's been up since Monday. I've posted links to it a couple times, but just in case you haven't seen the link and are at all interested in checking it out, and I especially recommend it if you've never played Smash Brothers or if you're just not interested in it because you don't like fighting games. Check out the article. It might change your mind. And that's geekswithwives.com/super-smashing/. So you check that out. Of course, I always appreciate feedback. I enjoyed writing it. I'm planning to write some more for Geeks with Wives, just as a side thing, the fun thing to do. So, yeah. Well, if you'd like to subscribe to our podcast, you can do so via iTunes.
I'm just shaking my head here. Just shaking my head.
Because it's via.
Everyone knows this. Count it.
I've heard it both ways.
No.
I have.
Well, yeah, but they're wrong. It's via. Someday we will convert you when you learn how to speak English.
And I'll teach both of you that it's pronounced potato.
You don't say potato.
No one says that.
Or tomato. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
It's
Anyway.
It's in that same category.
You can subscribe via.
Yes.
No.
You can subscribe via
Yes.
iTunes.
No, via. Now I'm
I've heard
confused.
it both
Which one is it?
ways,
I don't
the right
remember.
way, and then yours, I've heard it both ways.
That was
Let's
a
not
great
open any
episode.
sores.
Longest exit ever.
Okay, you can follow us on twitter.com/frozengamers, like us on facebook.com/frozengamers, and check out our site, frozengamerspodcast.com. There we have our full episodes available to listen or download, each including an outline with featured music and specially designed artwork. Now, something I wanted to point out is that this is our 52nd episode, so now we have an entire year's worth of episodes if you listen to one every week. And considering the fact that it's been more than a year since we started, that's not as impressive. It's not 52 weeks straight,
Way to
but
just kill it there.
but either way, it's especially if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen, or you don't even have an interest, depending on what kind of listener you are. You have the option now. A full year's worth of episodes. 1 week. Anyway.
Just over 2 days if you do nothing else.
You would get so sick of us.
I'm sick
If
of
you're
us
not-
just thinking about that.
Oh, man.
If you do nothing.
If you need to drive from Glen Allen to Minnesota, St. Paul, and don't stop for anything, that many episodes, give or take a few hours, is about exactly how long the drive is.
Okay.
So there you go.
There.
Take your word for it.
So in the event that that's what you're doing exactly, listen to this podcast. If you want to go insane, or don't want to go insane, maybe space it out a little bit.
Yeah. Listen to other things in between.
In between.
Other great podcasts.
Yeah.
The music and silence, maybe.
Silence.
Take a nap.
Not while you're driving.
You pull over.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway, back to the outro. Be sure to write in to us with questions, whether they're gaming related or not.
Or Scotty will hurt you. I mean, high five you if you write us.
In the face.
High five of doom.
It really is a sweet effect. Just saying.
Add comments on anything you've heard through the aforementioned sources or through our email address, which is frozengamerspodcast@gmail.com. For myself, my co-hosts Scotty Yar, John Flam, our guest Dan Brewington, and the absent Ben Greason, we are the Frozen Gamers, and we will be back with you next week.
Bye.